What does it take to turn a small plot of cassava in Ghana into a global agricultural powerhouse? How does a farmer in the American Midwest, facing down failing crops, build a thriving business that works with nature, not against it? These aren't just hypotheticals. Around the world, a quiet revolution is taking place, not in a lab or a boardroom, but right in the soil. This is the story of how farmers are starting with almost nothing and building fortunes from the ground up. It's a story of unexpected genius and bold decisions. It starts with a simple, raw crop that sells for pennies and ends with a high-value product shipped across the globe. We're going from dusty fields to bustling enterprises to reveal the specific financial choices and farming breakthroughs that turn struggling operations into massively profitable businesses. This isn't just about farming. It's about how to build an empire from scratch. And that's the power of a product. For so many farmers, the cycle is brutal. You pour your life into the land, hope for good weather, and after all that work, you take your raw crop to market and accept whatever price you're given. It's a life lived on the edge of financial ruin. This was the reality for farmers in places like Kapasa, Ghana. Their staple crop, cassava, is an amazing plant. It can survive drought and grow in poor soil. But as a raw root, it fetched a painfully low price. Even worse, a huge part of the harvest would often spoil before it could be sold, a devastating loss of time and money. Then, everything changed. It wasn't a new fertilizer or a miracle seed. It was a shift in thinking. The breakthrough was realizing the real money wasn't in the cassava root itself, but in what that root could become. This is the power of adding value. Instead of just selling raw cassava, groups of farmers, like those in the Tangakona commercial village, started pooling their resources. They bought basic processing equipment, washers, chippers, and mills, and started turning their low-value harvest into high-value products. Suddenly, they weren't just farmers anymore, they were manufacturers. The results were staggering. They started making high-quality cassava flour, gluten-free crackers, chips, and even animal feed. These products had a longer shelf life, which solved the spoilage problem overnight. More importantly, they commanded a much higher price. One report showed that farmers who once sold raw cassava for about 8 US cents a kilogram were now selling their milled flour to big companies for 56 cents a kilogram. That's a 7-fold increase in revenue. This single decision to stop selling a raw ingredient and start selling a finished product was the first step toward building their empire. It gave them control over pricing, created new income, and turned a crop that once meant survival into a source of real wealth. They weren't just surviving anymore, they were building a business. Taming the storm is crucial too. Profit doesn't mean much if your whole operation can be wiped out by a single flood or a long drought. For today's farmer, the biggest challenge isn't always the market, it's the weather. From rising sea levels in Vietnam's Mekong Delta threatening rice paddies, to the volatile storms in America's heartland, a changing climate is a real and present danger. Many farmers in the United States, for instance, were stuck in a high-risk system of monoculture, planting endless fields of just corn and soy.
Remember to subscribe and check out the next video. Let's keep farming with vibes.